This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. You mentioned about a petition as well, which was started by some of the traders in town, particularly Crown Walk, about stopping there being any chance of a one-way system. That had 750 responses.
About that, yes, indeed. Yeah. I mean, overall, when you look at it in those terms, that's a good response rate. The problem was it was split over online and a paper response. The paper response was at retail. And what we found was that when we looked online at the online one, a lot of anonymous people had signed this. So there's no way of verifying the fact that they even existed or were in county or anything. When it came to the paper one, what we then discovered that there were an awful lot of people who had signed the paper one who had also signed the online petition. So although we've recognised the grand total figure, in fact, if you take out the anonymous and take out the duplications, it's an awful lot less.
How did we actually arrive at, there's a pot of money here, we need to do something with the high street? People have said to me, why was there no option C, just leave it as it was?
Well, we started with 4 options. One of the options was do nothing. At the other extreme, it was complete pedestrianisation. We had early meetings to which we invited Oakham Town Council, Oakham Town Partnership, local ward members for Rutland County Council and others, and rapidly came to the conclusion that actually those 2 extremes should be taken off the table.
This was before you opened it to the general public, as it were?
Yes, that's what took us to the 2 options to take to the general public indeed.
We've obviously had a few months of what effectively will be the one-way system, albeit the pavements will look different and the parking will be different, but we've seen the traffic move around town. There have been some bottlenecks. Do you see that the one-way system is going to work ultimately?
I think it will, with the correct signposting and people understanding that actually when they go that way, they're going to be able to go to where they want to go. I don't think you can draw any conclusions from the way that the roads have been closed. Signposting during diversions during roadworks can be a bit difficult, and there was a classic example I think when last week the contractors just closed off New Street without any consultation with us whatsoever, and that turned the town into a complete mess.
I guess, everyone's point of view is the same. We want Oakham Centre to be vibrant, to be profitable for those who trade here, to have customers in town. I mean, we're all working towards the same goal.
I would like to think so, although of course I've read a lot of things that say, well, we're going to destroy the town, or we want to destroy the town. I can't think of any good reason why we would want to spend up to £3 million or thereabouts to destroy the town. Quite the contrary.
That's an awful lot of money for a small county like this. Whereabouts is that actually coming from?
The big assurance I think that we've tried to make people aware of is that there will be no effect on their council tax because of this. The funding comes from highways and transport grants that are made by central government. We've saved some over the last few years in order to make headway on this particular project. I would like to say, though, that the idea of doing up the town centre is nothing new. I mean, this has been going on for 10 years since the bypass was built. And in fact, at the Cabinet meeting the other day, one person showed me a document from 1977 proposing a one-way system in Oakham. Well, that didn't happen, but the fact is the town is getting worse in terms of, if you look at the paving and the street lights and all that sort of thing. This investment, I think, will do the town absolute wonders.
Do you think that the town has enough car parking spaces?
No. I don't. It clearly doesn't. We're working on looking at other parking provision in Oakham. I can't go into it yet because we have to go through a whole report stage, but I think we've got some quite positive ideas that will be of help, but that has to be in due course. But certainly before these works, if they go ahead, are complete, that will be sorted.
Just going back to the decision taken on Tuesday, it was a very close-run thing. Did you and those other people in the room think, actually, this is such a close-run thing, this is such a split decision, controversial in some ways, maybe for some, let's just stop now and scrap this and go back to the drawing board?
No, none at all. In fact, those that attended Cabinet, the portfolio holders, were unanimous. And also we had the benefit of 2 other Oakham Ward members who were not on Cabinet who came to speak on the matter, and they were for this one-way system as well. So no, we were asking and answering questions to cabinet members right up to the last minute. You never really know whether they're going to, we're all going to vote in the same way or not. In this case, we did. We understand the reasons, and I think we've made the right one.
Do you think, as a ward member for part of Oakham where this falls into, personally for you as leader and also representing the interests of those in your ward, it's a more difficult one than for most?
Well, there are a few members for Oakham on Cabinet, and this is quite unusual up till about a couple of years ago. I don't think any ward members for Oakham were on Cabinet for quite some years. Yeah, I think the fact that we live here makes the decision more difficult because we know we have to live with the people who don't like the decision that's made. But all I can say to them is that the decision's been made on the best qualified advice that we can get. And I honestly do believe it was the right decision.
What are your hopes for the town? Where do you see it going?
We have a vision, and the vision was expressed at the Cabinet meeting. The vision is that Oakham is at the heart of one of England's most beautiful and historic counties. We want Oakham to have a unique, attractive and vibrant town centre, a historic town for the future. And updating the public realm is the key to attracting more visitors and developing a thriving economy.
There have been one or two more charity shops, such as the Air Ambulance have taken, the Old Chorus and Headway, of course, have taken what was Impact, a prime unit just in the marketplace. Is there any way you can balance the demand for those units with what the town needs, wants, with the retailers that possibly could come in? Do you pick up the phone and say to a well-known retailer, we've got this great unit for you? Is there anything you can do in that way?
I think it's a general misconception that Rutland County Council control the retail outlets in Oakham. That's patently not the case. We don't own any of those properties, so any deals done between retailers and landlords are private, not part of what we do. We don't set the business rates for Oakham or anywhere else in Rutland. We do, however, collect on behalf of the government those monies. It's interesting to note, actually, that about half of Oakham businesses pay no business rates at all because they get the benefits of small business rate relief. No, unless there's a change of use of that property, we have very little, if any, control.
There's no way you can court people. We hear about retailers who are looking. And
as properties become vacant or landlords think, I think this high street's now perky enough, it's really up to landlords to find those. We do have an economic development department here at Rutland County Council who are always in touch with lots of people. But at the end of the day, a lot of these retailers, like Specsavers, wouldn't necessarily say in advance that they're interested. But I think the very fact that the town has a significant population, or relatively significant, those kind of retailers are starting to look more closely at Oakham as a place to do business.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
Well, originally it was set up to raise money for the Village Hall. So the lovely Lizzie Shields from Seaton knew that I'd been on Theatre with Rutland Musical Theatre, and she said, could we do a little concert to raise some money? So we did some Christmas concerts, some summer concerts to raise money for the Village Hall, and then the Chichesters as well. So that paid for refurbishments like new tables, new chairs, and over the years we've raised about £7,500 for them altogether.
basically Rock of Ages, I guess, wouldn't fit into Seaton Church, would it?
No, definitely not. It's my husband and I's favourite musical. He's directing it, Lee Cook, and it's been brilliant.
And if I can go to Dan, as a show, all I know about this, basically, is it's got a load of cheesy 80s rock songs in that loads of people all know. But obviously, like so many musicals, the music is important, but it's the story that kind of threads it all together.
Absolutely. Well, much like you, Rob, I hadn't really heard much about it when Louise first approached me. But she convinced me to go along to see it in Loughborough, and it was absolutely hilarious. As you say, there's lots of famous 80s rock songs in it, and the storyline's brilliant too. It's set on Sunset Boulevard in LA, back in the 80s. The mayor's a bit of a money-grubbing so-and-so, and wants to change the strip to make more money for himself. Most of the story is set inside Dupree's Bourbon Room, which is sort of a grungy rock and roll club. There's a love story involved in it too. We try and see whether the characters can save the strip from changing, and it's great fun. Whether you're into musicals, you'll love it if you are. If you're not into musicals at all, I'm sure you'll enjoy it too, as long as you've got a sense of humour. It's incredibly rude, also, I would like to point out.
And lots of long hair, I know that from having seen photos of you. I know you love a long wig.
Absolutely, yeah. Love a long wig from Jesus, but this one's especially nice. It's a mullet fresh from the 80s. I might actually take it into school after I finish the show. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, absolutely. Andy, if I can come to you, you play Stacey in the show. Good wig?
My wig is amazing. It's one of many items of my costume that are intended for ladies' use, I think. Yeah, it's really great. The transformation is something else. As you can see, the listeners obviously can't. Quite a rugged man's man, but...
But all of a sudden, on stage, there you are with your long hair.
The long hair and ladies' trousers. Yeah, but it looks great, yeah.
Rutland Radio.
Nicola Brown.
Jane Lowe.
And you're both from round Rutland?
Yes, we are.
Tell us about these events and how they're being received. It's the first one here at Ryle today.
It's gone really quite well, but we'd have preferred more people to come because we're trying to raise awareness of what's available in the county. We've got all kinds of providers here, and you also got cake and a cup of tea or coffee.
So that's the thing that Sue didn't mention, you see, right at the end.
What, tea and coffee?
And the cake. And the cake.
Most important thing.
Yeah, but no, I mean, in all seriousness, though, it is about reaching out. Everyone thinks it's such a small county, everyone can get to everything, but it's not always true.
No, it's not true, and we just want to raise that awareness of what is available, and there's a huge amount out there. We tend to signpost to different providers, don't we?
Yeah.
So
tell us broadly what Round Rutland does.
Well, round Rutland, basically we go and see elderly and vulnerable people. We support them around the Rutland area and we help them identify needs, and we then signpost them to the relevant organisation that's going to provide them the need, whether it's grab rails for their bathroom or funding for social care or the fire service coming to do a home assessment, etc. So loads of different things that we do. We know where to point them in the right direction, and we send the referrals through, and then they make an appointment, come and visit them, and then do what they need to do, and then we follow it up, see how they've got on with it, and make sure that they're happy with what we've helped them with.
And it tends to be more of a referral generally. I mean, you've obviously got events
Yes.
like this where you're reaching out to the community.
it's an assessing of the situation, individual situations and referrals. We are a charity. We work for the Rural Community Council, not the County Council.
Yeah, it's difficult when you put RCC.
It's been going since the Victorian period, not by us two personally.
Well, obviously.
But it's great, you know, because not everybody realises that there's a service available. So we highlight the people that need the help, hopefully.
And this event was put together to help create awareness of fire service, neighbourhood watch, the police and what they can do. Tackling fraud is a project that we're doing at the moment to help people prevent being scammed and also how to report it. We had Victim First, which is the victim support. We've got Age UK here because there's lots of facilities that Age UK can provide for elderly and vulnerable people, and also the Falls Prevention Clinic. They came along because obviously safety in your home is not just about what you've got around your home but how you keep fit and mobile. So it all works together. And we hope to have more people in the next few events that we do.
There's Cottesmore next, you've got Oakham and Uppingham as well, and then we'll mention them as... So Cottesmore next Tuesday?
It's the 17th, I think.
That's next Tuesday, yes, perfect.
Next Tuesday.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
With Ellie Watton, you were in the Rio 2016 gold medal winning team. First of all, what was it like to be at the Olympics?
It was a fantastic experience. Obviously, you meet lots of famous people there, and the whole atmosphere was brilliant. The hockey was a little bit outside and away from the main campus of what was going on, so there was maybe a little bit less support there, but for the final, my goodness, it was fantastic. To play Holland as well in the final, yeah, brilliant. Obviously, unfortunately, I was in the stands watching because I was a reserve, but for the girls, amazing. Yeah.
Still, at least you were there.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I got to see lots of different things. So I went to watch gymnastics. I was there at the opening ceremony, and all those experiences were a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Before you went to the Olympics, you were a teacher at Oakham School, and now you're back doing one-to-one sessions. So is it good to be back?
Yeah, it's really nice to be back. I do come back every now and again to coach the youngsters here. I think it's really important that we as the best come back and give back to the youngsters and show them how they can progress and become what we are.
What made you kind of break away from teaching for a bit?
So the opportunity to be a full-time hockey player was the main reason. I did really enjoy teaching, and I love teaching at Oakham, and I'm sure I will go back to it one day, but the opportunity to be a full-time hockey player, I don't think I could really pass that up.
So you've been doing one-to-one sessions, coaching, and have you had any people that, well, the girls that you've taught before, and now they've all grown up?
Yeah, I had a couple. So I was just coaching now Gabby, and before that Caro, and I used to coach them at the under-12s, under-12 A-team back in the day. So that was about, 4 or 5 years ago now. So they're all grown up playing older hockey, under-16 and first-team hockey. Yeah.
Is it really nice to pass your wisdom on?
Oh yeah, fantastic. It's really lovely to see them and to see what progress they've made, and to then still help them now, even though they're older, still help them progress.
So how long are you here till today?
I'm just here for the day, so I'm here until about 6 tonight, coaching various different people.
Are you doing boy coaching as well?
Yeah. I often coach boys. No boys signed up today, I guess because it's the girls' hockey term. The girls are mainly focused on it, but I coach boys and girls all over the country.
So do you feel getting girls into sport has been boosted over the last couple of years?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that the campaigns, the This Girl Can campaign, and obviously us winning, the girls winning an Olympic gold, means that a lot more girls are picking up hockey sticks, and girls are just doing sport all over the place because of the campaigns that have been going on to get more girls in sport, and that's so important. It's a great way to be active.
And what advice do you have to girls maybe thinking about taking on hockey but they're not sure?
Give it a go. Pick up a hockey stick, go to your local session, just go and have a taster. It's a great way to make new friends and just enjoy yourself.
And do you think you'll come back to Oakham again to do more
yeah,
coaching?
I'm sure I'll be back at some point, in the next year or two.
Do you think you're going to do the next Olympics?
Hopefully, yeah, that's the aim. As I was just saying to somebody just then, I'm getting on a bit. So I'm 28 now, I'll be 31 at the next Olympics. But that's still my prime, so hopefully we'll see how things go, and I'm certainly fighting for a spot.
Rutland Radio.
I'm with George Ike from Pablo's Horse Sanctuary. Now, can you just remind us what Pablo's does, George?
Our aim is to provide every horse in Leicestershire that's at risk or is unwanted with a safe and loving home until the end of its life. We're currently fundraising giving crowdfunding in order to replace the field shelters and build new ones where we don't have existing ones, so that over the coming cold winter months our horses will be able to stay warm at night.
So how can people donate?
People can donate by visiting our Twitter and Facebook page, where they can find the link. Just follow the link, and then you can just enter your card details and donate via the link there.
And how important is it to have these new shelters for the horses?
It's really important to us. Without that, we'll have to start moving horses around to other stable yards and fields so that they can come in at night, because especially with our elderly horses, the cold weather and rain is really, really poor for their health.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
So this wild and wacky attempt, it seemed like on paper 2.5 years ago, to get a watch up to Everest, and it happened twice, and it came back, and it still works. Mm-hmm. That in itself is nothing short of a miracle. But how much will this fundraising actually help people over there?
They're still in a very, very desperate situation. I mean, there's still hundreds of thousands of people with no roof over their head in appalling weather. We are spending the funds on reconstruction. We've so far done 2 schools to earthquake-proof standards, 11 houses. We've got another 47 that we need to raise funds for. We can build a house, or at least pay for the materials, and the folks there will do the work. It costs about $1,500. Imagine buying a house in the UK for $1,500. That's the scale of the inequality that we're looking at, even if they had a house.
But, several thousand, such as the watch, if the watch fetches 20,000 with the proceeds of the calendar, this is going to be a significant contribution to Nepal.
It would certainly rebuild at least the remains of one village, close to the epicentre, in a place called Gurkha. They were amongst the hardest hit, way off the road, no infrastructure, no communications, in a desperate situation.
And the Mountain Trust involvement all happened with a chance meeting with Robert Looms when you wanted your relative's watch to be serviced.
Yeah, amazing. We actually clicked immediately. I like the fellow a lot. He's a gent, and he's a creative thinker too. So we naturally got on, we started talking, and we love juggling ideas and doing interesting and exciting things. And and this just seemed such a great idea. We put together this marvellous photographer, Jagged Globe, the British Gurkha expedition, and Robert Loom's expertise to make the whole greater than the sum of the parts.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
I'm Rubina Hill, and I'm the Managing Director of Looms & Co.
We were here 2.5 years ago, celebrating what you were intending to do. No one knew whether it was going to actually happen or not, whether it would work or not. You sent one of your watches up Everest twice.
Two watches up Everest twice. The first time in 2015 with the Gurkhas. And unfortunately, we had an earthquake, and obviously the whole exhibition was abandoned while they rescued. They became part of the rescue effort in Nepal at that time. And they brought back the watches, and I wanted to finish the job, and they did too. This team of Gurkha climbers really, really wanted to summit Everest. That was the point. And the army very kindly allowed them to have another go this year, and so the watches went with them. And we were on the edge of our seats, we had everything crossed, and then in May 2017, they summited. And as soon as we heard that they'd summited, we flew out to meet them and get the watches back. We didn't know that it would happen. The watches apparently were in snowdrifts, they've survived an earthquake, they've gone to the top of the world, still ticking.
And I guess obviously the pressure is so different. What they're set up to do when they're down at normal atmospheric pressure and level is so different.
Yes, we sent them to some freezers in a university to make sure that they would survive the conditions on the top of Everest. We also put special thin oil in them. We've had them back in the workshop. We've had a look and serviced them and put ordinary oil back in, but we had to have particularly thin oil, otherwise the oil freezes and clogs up the workings of the watch.
You've been out to Nepal.
Yeah.
What was your impression? Had you been before?
Never been before. I fell in love with the place. The people are amazing. They're very warm, they're very spiritual, but clearly you can still see evidence of the earthquake from 2 years ago, very much so. There is some reconstruction going on, but a lot still needs to be done, and it's not been helped by the floods this year. It's an extraordinary place, but it's a place that needs help.
Now, people can buy your calendar for next year, which has pictures which were taken on the summit of the expedition.
Absolutely, yes. The calendar is made up of the photographs that are part of the photographic exhibition here, taken on Everest by Alan Richardson, who is the official photographer for the Gurkha climbing team. The fantastic photographs. If you can't afford to bid for the watch, then please buy the calendar. They are available at Looms & Co.
Now, this watch, it's retail just under £10,000. You're hoping to get double that at auction.
We are. Yes, that's our hope.
It all starts in the next few days.
It starts on the 26th of October and finishes on the 9th of November, and it's Bonhams. It's an online auction. We are going to QP, which is the watch exhibition, in the beginning of November, to also publicise the auction too. So if you know anybody who would like a very expensive watch that has been up to Everest and back again twice and survived an earthquake, then get them to bid for it, because we want as much money as possible for the people of Nepal.
Rutland Radio.
Well, it's absolutely devastated the town. Business is difficult enough at the present time, and this, as far as I'm concerned, has been a complete nonsense. We have 3 shops in Orange Street, and in the last 4 days we've taken nothing. Many of my friends in the high street have also had the most dreadful time, because there's been huge mismanagement of the signage, and I think a 23-mile diversion round the town. When the signs went up originally, it looked like the town was totally closed. So it's been devastating. I would love to know why permission was granted to close the road for something like 10 days on a job that could have been done maximum 48 hours. I'd also like to know who's going to pick up the bill for loss of trade, not just for the shops in Orange Street, but it's devastated the trade elsewhere.
Now, obviously for the locals it is just a short diversion. With Uppingham School not being here, it does make quite a significant difference to the town. The Rutland half-term fortnight, of course, is on, and because this week is the week that not too many people are off, it tends to be the one that people do go on holiday. Would you notice a normal dip in trade anyway?
No, not looking at the figures for the last few years. The point about it is this. Uppingham has got one road that goes straight through it, this north-south road, and a huge amount of traffic goes through. For the last week, it's been going around. Now, when the traffic comes through, some people decide it looks a nice place, they'll park up, they'll have a bit of lunch, they'll do a bit of shopping. We've lost all of that, and it's been devastating. The thing that upsets me, I think, most of all, is that no one appears to want to take responsibility for it.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
So here we are, Lydia, we've made it. With a power cut, with a frosting crisis, we've made it through the cake creation process. We're here on Take the Cake Day. You've given the Coppergate cakes from Javawocket Coppergate Uppingham, and now it's time for, what do you describe yours as?
Lydia's luxurious red velvet cake without the luxury.
So I never had a name for mine, but yes.
Because I've went for red velvet. It's something I've always wanted to try doing. But then my cream cheese frosting looks more like some sort of melted icing. And I've tried to put sprinkles on to rectify it, but they've melted as well. So
It looks like a celebration, though, a party, doesn't it?
yeah, it is 3 layers, though, because I had
Yes.
so much cake mix. I was like, right, I'll have to put a third one on top to actually make use of it.
And as for mine, well, mine nearly didn't get made because of the Stanford power cut last night, but we made it about an hour later. And it's kind of like a chocolate brownie mix. It's gluten-free, just like yours. And it's sort of egg whites folded in with egg yolks, pure chocolate, no flour whatsoever, ground almonds, and it's served with creme fraiche. Now, we have our tasters here at Walker's.
Wow. They both look delicious, don't they, Jules?
They do.
And this is a lady that can bake, my colleague Jules.
Oh, wow, okay,
so if
right.
you ever needed a judge, this is the lady.
We've got the Mary Berry of
You
Okay.
have,
Yes.
yes. I have to say, chocolate brownie cake, very good.
Very, very good.
Very moist.
Moist, which I think is very important.
Lovely
yes,
chocolate
really,
taste.
really nice, yeah.
Nice.
Excellent, 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Right, let's try the red velvet then. Let's have a different spoon for that one. This looks good too.
What a treat while we're at work. 3-layered, lovely cake.
Nice, moist again, I think. Yep.
Lovely flavour.
Very Moorish.
Very well done, Lydia.
It's well done.
Oh,
Yeah.
10 out of 10 and a star.
If you had to choose one, because we're up against each other.
I'm going to go for red velvet. What about you,
I'm going to
Julie?
go for chocolate brownie.
One each.
So we've got a tie on the first week. So do you have the challenge for next week if you got the envelope here?
I have. Well, at least we've both started on a win.
Yes.
So that's positive. Right, this is from Rob Wagstaff. Make the most entertaining announcement over the PA system at one of the local supermarkets.
Oh, wow. Always wanted to have a go.
Oh, so if anyone's shopping here, anything random over the tannoy, it's going to be me or Rob. So we will apologise in advance.
Rutland Radio.
My name's Jeanette Bourne and I'm the Secretary for the Priory Road Allotment Association in Stamford. We're actually an allotment association, which means that we are run by the allotment holders for the allotment holders. We have a chairperson, a secretary, myself and a treasurer and 3 committee members. We do hold a AGM, which we actually held last night, which was very well attended. We had 25 people attend out of the 39 allotment holders, which we were very pleased with. But it means that we're actually there as a community and we do things for one another. So last year, for example, we had a working party weekend. Most people turned up and we mended some of the sheds, we fixed the gate, we tidied up the bonfire area, and it was a really good weekend where everybody was just helping one another, which is, you know, the benefit of a smaller allotments. So the association, we lease the land from Burley Estates, which we have been doing for the last 20 years, and we've got the lease extended for another 6 years, so we're going to be there for a little while longer and we hope to just keep extending the lease.
There are some allotments available, aren't there?
Yes, you're quite right. There are a few at the moment. We've had quite a few members that unfortunately, because of their age, have decided to hang their spades up. So I have a few available plots.
And how much are these plots?
The plots are very reasonable, depending on the size. We've got varying sizes from, if I say around 136 square yards to 168, then that means the price will be around £35 to £45, and that's just a one-off payment for the year.
Why is it good to have an allotment?
Well, I think it's really good to have an allotment. It's really rewarding and satisfying to grow your own veg and to eat it. You obviously know that it's definitely local and it's not being driven for miles in the back of a lorry, packaged in plastic. And when it says that it's organic on the plastic, it may not be, but if you've grown it yourself, then obviously you know that it is. There's a huge benefit of being outside, good fresh air and digging, so it's exercise. And it's so peaceful, so relaxing down there. You probably don't actually realise that you've spent the last couple of hours digging away.
Quite, what's the word, therapeutic as well?
Absolutely, yes, it's very therapeutic. And it's not all work. We're quite a big community down there. There's lots of people, so you can stop, have a chat. It might just be to say hello, or it might say, your potatoes seem to be growing better than mine. Can't guarantee that they'll be uniform in size or shape for that matter, but I can be fairly confident in saying that they will taste an awful lot better than at the local supermarket or from the market, and definitely a lot fresher.
So as we're heading into the winter, then what sort of vegetables can you grow in the winter, or what can you do at your allotment?
Yeah, you'll need to, obviously, at the beginning, you need to just sort of like turn the soil over, but you can actually put some veg in that will start, if you start it now, it will just be a little bit earlier. So broad beans are very good. You can put in onions as well. There's various cabbages that you can put in that will be ready to, they'll be growing a little bit quicker in the springtime.
Whereabouts is it actually? Where's it based?
The allotments are, as I said, we're Priory Road, so it's actually on Priory Road, and it's the end nearer Morrison's, more or less opposite the mini roundabout that is there.
Are there any requirements that you have to have an allotment?
No, the only requirement really is it is a commitment. I'm not saying you've got to be there obviously every day, because you haven't, but you need to bear in mind that during the summer season, when obviously we have lovely weather, a bit of rain, bit of sunshine, that's great for all the veg, but it's great for the weeds as well. So you need to try and keep on top of them. We do say that ideally you need to be within about 7 mile radius of Stamford, purely because to be able, if you're spending a lot of time travelling there, you might not be able to give as much time to the allotments to actually keep everything nice and tidy and make sure your veg is thriving.
So if anyone wants an allotment, then
yes.
Who do they need to call?
Well, we've got actually an email address, which is veg@prioryroadallotments.org.uk. And if people would like to use that, give us your details of your name, telephone number. Either myself or Clinton, the chairperson, will give you a call back.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
My name's Colin Till. I'm Briefing Liaison Officer for ABF Souls Charity for East and West Midlands.
We're here at St Giles Church in Stamford. You're here for the first time raising funds.
That is correct. The guys here for Cars for Good Cause, I should say, invited us in for the first time to come and support them and advertise some of our Christmas cards and talk to people about what we do.
And is it something that actually, is an important partner for your fundraising? Because people often think at Christmas time of, with an area like this that is so military, sort of got such military roots that people are away at Christmas a lot of the time, when they're actually in active service, for instance.
Well, it works both ways. It's active service as well as soldiers back at home and away from their loved ones, because barracks and military establishments still need protecting over the Christmas period, and there's people that are there that are not at home eating Christmas dinner and seeing their loved ones. So it works in two folds, really. Active service and service overseas is a big one, but it's also those poor individuals that are at barracks on Christmas Day or in public duties that are still serving Queen and country.
And I know you're very much about supporting the families. That's a big aim of the charity.
It is. We as the Army's national charity, our main remit is obviously to support serving soldiers, their families and children, as well as veterans. So it's an all-encompassing military family that we support in direct grants each year. And there's another some 90 other charities that we support that widen up to the more wider Army family in overseas as well as within the UK.
So if people want to support the Soldiers Charity, ABF Soldiers Charity here in Stamford, what sort of things can they buy and support here?
Well, there's a number of things. It's not just us. It's come down to Cards for Good Causes. Come and have a look at all the cards from all the charities, because your donations always help. But for us, it's looking on our website, come and having a look at what we do. Come and investigate us. We've been very anonymous in the background over a number of years, even though we are the Army's national charity, raising funds on your behalf and on behalf of the Army to support veterans as well as serving soldiers. We have a number of activities each year, from those people that want to go out running for marathons, bog commander runs, assault courses, to black tie dinners, carol concerts, even sponsored walks. We have a vast variety of activities. The main thing is come and take part, come and get involved with us, and that will lead on to other charities that we want to support as well, and you will probably want to support. So it's giving that love of helping other charities across the board.
And your Christmas cards that are here, do they have, I guess obviously you think of the designs each time, do they, you put a lot of thought into that, do those designs have a story to tell?
They do. We find overall we have a lot of people like London-based scenes and military scenes, and our most famous ones are always Household Cavalry and the Terror London with the Yeoman Warders and Christmas scenes like that. So we have got a large variety of military cards, but we also have the religious cards as well, with a poignant point on military personnel and their families. So there's a good mixture of some of our cards.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
Good morning, I'm Rob Pisani. Lydia Meredith's here as well now. It's the Oakham Farmers Market on a Saturday morning. It's Rutland Radio. We're live here doing pop-up radio until midday. It's also the start of the Discover Rutland Food and Drink Week as well. I'm here with Ben Jones from the Olive Branch. There have been a whole load of people who've come together. I've just counted on the leaflet. There's about 20 businesses.
Yeah, I think 20 businesses, producers, pubs, restaurants all across the county. Just encouraging people to come into Rutland and discover all the great food and drink that we have across the county.
In previous years, obviously, there was the Rutland Day celebration at Rutland Water, where a lot of the food retailers came, to promote their various businesses. Yeah. This is 7 days, really, of everything from special offers to special events to, for instance, meet the brewer, meet the baker, all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, we've got Meet the Roaster up at Two Chimps Coffee Place on Monday. A lot of these are free events as well. You just need to ring and book your place. So, yeah, you can go and meet the baker at Hambleton Bakery, meet the brewer at the Grain Store Brewery. There's also another one with Stonyford Brewery. So there's lots and lots of events, plus lots of pubs doing special menus promoting Rutland food. Rutland Charcuterie at Braunston. They've now got great charcuterie in hampers at Harrods, of all places. So, yeah, all the Rutland food we're trying to promote and talk about at the moment.
And it may seem a small place in Middle England, but it's a really special place, isn't it, in so many ways, and, a great place, actually, to be in the food industry.
Yeah, it's the middle of nowhere, but the centre of everywhere. That's what we like to say. So, yeah, you can come to Rutland, you can head across the border, you can discover Melton Mowbray pork pie, Stilton cheese, Belvoir Castle, Rockingham Castle. So there's plenty in Rutland, but there's so much to discover on the borders of Rutland, and that's what we're really trying to tell people.
Ben Jones from the Olive Branch, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio today. I know you're around handing out the leaflets, spreading the word.
Yeah, I'm trying to hand out lots of leaflets. 5,000 I've done so far, just another 2,000 to go, so we'll get there.
Excellent, thanks for joining us this morning.
Rutland Radio.
Beryl Kirtland, manager of Cards for Good Causes at St John's Church in Stamford.
And Sue Berridge, the area organiser for the East Midlands.
And
I'm Jeremy Loon, I'm the Chief Executive of Cards for Good Causes.
And you're new in post, your first visit to the Stamford shop?
That's right, yeah, my first. I started midway through the season last year and there was a lot to look at, but this is always top of my wish list to visit this year.
We often hear how Stamford does pretty well against the big shops in London, for instance.
That's right, yeah. One of the reasons I wanted to come here, because we've got over 300 shops across the country, is that this has consistently been in our top 10, which in itself is impressive. But when you look at the other shops in the top 10, they're in bigger places, dare I say it. So you've got places like London and Bath and York, and Stamford bats well above the average, yeah. And that's down to the generosity of the local people.
Beryl, you've been running this for 17 years now.
Something like that, yes. It's gone by very quickly, and I'm pleased to be back again, and I hope we're going to see all our local people and do even better than we do every other year. Amazing.
And there's a huge team of volunteers, 70 odd.
Yes, we have 70 volunteers on our list, and they must like it because they seem to keep coming back. One or two leave, and we've always got a few extra, and we always make it good fun.
What sort of time do people start feeling festive, do you think?
Some people like to do it really, really early, and some people like to leave it till the last minute. The reason we open quite early in October is that we would hate for anyone to go, oh, I've already got mine now. So we try to get in before anyone can possibly say that.
It's all based on charity Christmas cards and the fact that such a significant amount actually goes to the different charities.
That's right. I mean, one of the unique things that we offer is choice. Across the country, we support over 250 charities. In this town, we support 45 charities, which includes the national charities that people will be very familiar with, people like Alzheimer's Society, Cancer Research UK, as well as some really excellent local charities. So it's about giving people the choice to support those charities in a very easy way that suits them.
And also the contribution that you're able to make to the charities as well. I mean, that's quite a unique thing.
It is unique, yeah. We don't make any profit ourselves. We are a charitable organisation ourselves, which means that we can pass back every penny possible. In terms of our constitution, we say that we pass back at least 70 pence in the pound to charities. Last year it was over 75 pence, and I aim to make that even more this year with a fantastic team we've got, such as Beryl and Sue.
It's quite an incredible phenomenon, this, isn't it? You must, by the time it gets to the week before Christmas, you must look back on it and think, how on earth has this all happened?
Indeed, I think that's just absolutely fair comment, that we arrive and we go, can't believe it, we're going to do it all over again, and we get to Christmas and we've had probably 20,000 people through our doors in 10 weeks. Local people, people from the surrounding area, and lots of visitors, because Stamford's a lovely place to visit. We have people up who come up from London and other faraway places, especially to come to the card shop. And that's just amazing.
Now, as well as cards, I know you have little gifts that are here in the early part, but then they don't get restocked. So it is, a reminder for people to check it out early.
Indeed it is. But I will tell you, we have lots of goods this year. Lots of toys and Christmas decorations, wrapping paper, gift bags, candles, advent calendars. Lots and lots of things, but that's quite right. I can order more cards, but the goods, when they've gone, and we sell the goods the profit from them, in order to support the operation that we do.
And the Christmas Tree Festival will be here in a few weeks?
Absolutely. We shall do the Christmas Tree Festival all over again. I think it's November the 24th it starts, and we'll have them up for nearly 2 weeks.
Rutland Radio's Best Bits on the podcast.
Okay, it's Shanaz Aziz, and I'm the Patient Public Leadership Lead with the East Midlands Academic Health Science Network.
There's a patient carer networking event coming up, so can you tell me what it's all about?
So this event is aimed at patient carers and members of the public. We're holding a series of events across the East Midlands, and this one is for public members that live in Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland. And the aim of the event is to inform, inspire and motivate patients and the public to get involved in their local NHS organisations.
So what's going on there?
So what we're finding is there's a lot of change happening within the NHS. Services are being significantly transformed, and the NHS has got a real strong commitment to ensure that patients and carers are at the heart of service design and the way that services operate. What we find is lots of people don't know how to get involved in their NHS. They don't know what's out there, and there might be barriers for people to get involved. So what this event aims to do is to let people know what's happening in their local community. We've got lots of workshops that people can sign up to. They're being led by staff but also patient members. So the aim is to inspire people to get involved. And there'll be lots of information stands as well.
So who's it open to?
It's aimed at anybody who's a patient, a carer or a member of the public living in Leicester, Leicestershire or Rutland. It's free. Staff can come along, but only if they're putting up information stands, letting people know about their services and how to get involved. There'll be lunch provided. For people that have problems because of transport and it's difficult, then we'll reimburse people's travel costs. The event that we're holding it at does have a free car park as well, and it's completely accessible. So it's aimed at anybody in the public, really.
And when's it happening?
So it's been held on Wednesday, the 1st of November, and it's at the Leicester Racecourse in Oadby, Leicester. And it's from 10 o'clock in the morning. Registration starts at 9:30, and it finishes at 3:30.
Do you need to register before you go or anything, book a play?
So if they visit www.emahsn.org.uk and click a link that says public involvement, and then if they click another link around events, they go on to the 1st of November, that's where they can book a place. Or they can call us, we've got a number as well, 0115 823 2456.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Shanaz, for talking to me today.
Rutland Radio.
Yeah, some absolutely incredible prizes, actually. Because basically what we wanted was to produce a sort of virtual advent calendar where you could not just win on one day, but you could win every day. Because if you win on the 1st, your draw ticket gets put back in again and again and again. But the prizes, we went to lots of different businesses and organisations in Stamford, and we said, we're really looking for a prize worth £75 or more. And I have to tell you, businesses and community groups and organisations in Stamford, hats off to you, because they have absolutely come up with the goodies. We have got the most unbelievable selection of prizes. All of the money that we make on Stamford Christmas Cracker goes towards buying one of our members a Christmas present this year, and also towards our free services, which, as you know, includes befriending and advocacy and hand and nail, etc. Also, I'd just like to mention and thank Sowden Wallace and Barchester Care Home and Warners for supporting us. And if people want to buy tickets in town, they can just go straight to Sowden Wallace, estate agent. But also just highlight some of the prizes. I mean, for instance, New College Stamford, you can have a pamper day and a lunch for two in the Gallery restaurant, which I have to tell you, I can't recommend enough.
Yeah, absolutely. We ate there not so long ago. It's fabulous, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
So you say get every member a Christmas present. How many people are you looking at here?
Well, I think we're probably looking at round about 300 members, but we will do everything we can to raise as much as we can. And also, it's actually very difficult knowing what to buy because, everybody's got different likes. If you go down the chocolate route as well, you might find that some of them are diabetic. Mm-hmm. You might go down the scarf route. We could really do with some ideas, actually. I thought this was going to be much easier. I thought it'd be a much better shopper, but clearly I've come to a sort of complete where do we start?
Yeah, as you say, it's something that everyone will enjoy and appreciate, but such a wide range of people.
Yes, a huge range. And I mean, thank goodness we've got Cummings helping us pack, because I do think there'll be lots of different presents. I don't think it'll be a sort of, complete bulk buy of chocolates. But I feel it's very important to make sure that we put lots of thought into these presents. We must get it right. So we really need some ideas.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Claire Lomas is on the line. Claire, how are you feeling this morning? Let's get straight down to it. You sound very bright and breezy, considering you did this 24-hour challenge.
It was nice to have a sleep last night. I've been up for 40 hours, so I was pretty keen to get to sleep and feel a lot better for it. But as soon as I woke up, I knew my arms are pretty sore and the bits I can feel very hard work. So I think it'll take a while to get over it.
Now, you're paralysed from the chest down after that horse eventing accident 10 years ago, and 6 years you've spent actually raising money for the Nichols Spinal Injury Foundation. Nearly £600,000 you've raised with incredible challenges like the London Marathon just over a couple of weeks, and the Great North Run, which you did in just less than a week when 16 weeks pregnant. At this, you decided to pack it all into 24 hours. Did you honestly think at any point you wouldn't quite make it?
I went into it not really knowing, because I wouldn't train up to distances of it was a 10-mile route. So, yeah, and you don't know whether anything's going to stop you, like any sores, and have to be careful of that. So, yeah, and along the route, like about 2 miles, I felt really tired, and then it just seems a long way to still have to go. And also 2 miles at the start would be the easiest bit because I set off with everyone, so I had a lot of support out there. And about kind of 6-7 miles in, my wrists really hurt. There's a lot of weight going through my wrists and into my hands and my shoulders, and that I thought it was a different pain, just aching. I can work through that. But actually got quite a few sharp pains, and I wondered whether that would stop me. But I managed to keep going, and yeah, got to the finish.
And you had to keep Dave charged up. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Dave is your bionic suit, this rewalk suit. It's a new version compared to what you had on the London Marathon, isn't it?
It's called Fred.
He's Fred, yes, that's him.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, it's a newer version. It's slightly different to the one I've got, and his straps were attaching to me a lot better. So that when I knew I'd using that one, I felt a bit more confident about sores on my legs and things because it's just so much better. And yeah, so we had about 4 or 5 battery changes along the way. Yeah, it's good.
So you basically did a mile as fast as you're able to, and had a rest and a recharge, then did another mile, and so on and so forth for those 10 miles.
No, exactly. Yeah, I never really let myself think of the whole 10 miles. I just broke it down, and not even as far as a mile really, because that's quite a long way walking like I do. But yeah, thinking of like 0.1 really, and just putting a lot of them together.
And I suppose for you, it's not just about the fundraising, it's the personal challenge, and also the fact that maybe, just maybe, one day there'll be some way of connecting your spine back together like so many people who've suffered spinal injuries, and then you'll be able to feel your legs and do it all for yourself.
Yeah, that doesn't really go through my mind, to be honest, Rob. I do it to raise money for the Nichols Spinal Injury Foundation because their work's incredible, and because I saw a lot of people worse off myself with neck injuries, so they can't use their arms. So I just, I can get out there and do these things. So that's what I do. Also, I do like a personal challenge. As far as like the future, I don't sit there thinking, I hope there's something for me. I've got a good life. If there was something, then I wouldn't say I wouldn't have it. But my priorities, I've got 2 little girls. Chloe's now 8 months and Maisie's 6. So, yeah, I don't go into it thinking, I'm going to get walking again. I don't know if I want to walk again after this weekend. Quite like being sat down now.
I can well imagine. You so deserve a rest after this. I mean, do you actually get a chance with 2 young children to actually rest on half term?
Well, it's Maisie's half term was last week, so she's back at school. So yeah, there still will be some quiet time, but I've got speaking events I've got to go to and get back in the suit this week, so there's not too much time to rest. I'll be out there, and yeah, I've got quite a lot on over the next month. So, but I like it that way, and it's good to be busy. I spent that time after my accident not being busy. I never want to be like that again. So.
You often get introduced as the amazing and inspirational Claire Lomas, and I can't think of any better way of introducing you to anyone who hasn't heard you on the radio before. It is quite incredible what you're doing, and thanks very much for being on Rutland Radio this morning and sharing that with us.
Thank you so much. No, thank you, Rob.
Rutland Radio.
First of all, Dr. Susie Ever, thanks for coming to Rutland. I mean, you're only at the University of Leicester, so you're familiar with our county?
Yeah, I used to come cycling here all the time, so I know Rutland pretty well.
Do you consider yourself an astronaut, having won that show?
I'm definitely a wannabe astronaut, so I feel as though the show gave me a much better chance to think about what it really takes to be an astronaut and whether I can actually go through for the selection.
What people don't, I suppose, appreciate, they always think it's almost like a military route, but there's a lot of science involved. There's a lot of people who've been at the International Space Station with scientific backgrounds such as yours.
Yeah, exactly. So there are 2 traditional routes. One is to be a pilot. Often test pilots, for example, are really good candidates. But the other is to be a scientist, because a lot of work that's done on the International Space Station is actually conducting scientific experiments. So that's the route that I would take. I'm a planetary scientist at the university, and so that's another side of being an astronaut, really.
And was it something you dreamed of for years, or you just saw the advert for the show and thought, actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea?
Kind of a mixture of the 2, actually. I think every child dreams of being an astronaut when they're young, but I actually dreamed of being an explorer. That's what I wanted to be, an explorer of the Antarctic. But actually, I think when I saw the advert for the show, it sort of made me think, yeah, actually, I did have dreams of being an astronaut, and I didn't think I'd ever have the chance to do some of those things. So the show gave me a perfect opportunity to find out what it's really like to be an astronaut and whether or not I have the skills to do it.
And you really were taken through everything from the G-force to... You were diving, weren't you, as well? Would that happen in space? What was that simulating?
The diving basically simulates weightlessness, so astronauts spend a lot of their time training underwater because that's the closest we can get to being in microgravity. So all astronauts have to be able to dive, and most of it's controlled diving, so maybe down at the base of a swimming pool, conducting experiments just like in the International Space Station. But I've never been diving in my life, so that was a big learning process for me to learn how to dive and then to go out to Florida and do the diving as part of the test.
And you've met real-life astronauts.
Yes.
That must be amazing, just to think of what they've been through.
Commander Chris Hadfield was the person who was the prime judge on the show, and so he has been to space 3 times. He's a NASA astronaut, and he's been involved in a lot of astronaut application and training, so no one knows really more about it than Chris Hadfield. But we also have an astronaut called Jeff Hoffman who comes to the university, and so I met up with him yesterday and found out more about his experiences of being an astronaut.
Now, the prize on the show was to be recommended to the European Space Agency, so next time they're looking for astronauts, you're in that pool.
Yes, so the prize was to get a letter of recommendation from Commander Chris Hadfield to show next time ESA has a call for astronauts. However, the last call for astronauts was in 2008, so about 10 years ago now, and we don't know when the next one will be, so I will be the first one to hand in an application as soon as they open it again.
And would that be like a 6-month posting or something like that to the International Space Station? Is that the sort of thing that would potentially happen?
They call for astronauts and they have thousands of applications, and then they choose their next set of astronauts for astronaut training. There'll be a selection of astronauts that are picked, and they'll go through the full training process, which takes many years. And then after that, the ones that make it through the training process, yes, then perhaps go to the International Space Station for a period of time, maybe 6 months, take part in spacewalks and do experiments up there. And then the generation of astronauts that are still children at the moment, the next generation will probably go to the moon. So that's what they have to look forward to.
And what do you think space shows us that we wouldn't be able to get from actually just being on planet Earth?
Space shows us a lot of things. In terms of science, there's some experiments you can't do on the Earth that you can do up in space, so that's incredibly valuable. But also, sitting up there in the International Space Station looking down shows us that we have the technology to go to other planets and to begin to think about branching out beyond the Earth. So we learn a lot from sending people up to the International Space Station, and hopefully in years to come to the moon and then to Mars.
And you're here at Inspire to Try at Manton. You've been working with Aiming High. You're speaking to the Ketton Panthers Triathlon Club. What will you be talking to them about? What have you been working with the students here?
So today, some of the students have been doing a triathlon. So they've been swimming, cycling and running today. They've done a wonderful job. So I came along to try out with them and to do their triathlon alongside them. And then I'm going to be talking to them a bit later about what it's like to be an astronaut and what kind of things astronauts have to do.
And you know what it's like when you talk about things like this in front of a group of children. There's always one that sticks their hand up and asks that question. Have you any idea what that question might be? What has it been previously?
Oh, children are the best because they come up with really difficult questions. You're absolutely right.
Is it all about going to the loo in the spacesuit?
Often it's that, yeah. Or what do you eat in space? That's a popular question. Or how long does it take to get to the moon? Those kind of questions. But often there's questions that are actually quite difficult to answer.
You must be very proud and feel like you are representing the UK in terms of the space race.
So at the moment, really, having done the astronaut programme and having won the astronaut programme, I feel as though I'm going to carry on with my job at university and I'm going to think about applying for real. But the other thing I can do is go to as many schools as I can, see as many children as I can, and inspire them to go and study science and dream of becoming astronauts one day. So that's really what I'm spending a lot of my time doing at the moment.
Dr. Susie Imber, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio today. It's been fab to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
Yes, we are. Thanks, Rob. Good morning. Yeah, it's Get Safe Online Week, as everyone now is pretty much online, using emails, social media. We obviously now have that issue with criminality moving online more. And so this is a national event. I believe it might even be international, actually. It's quite a lot on social media under the hashtag of Get Safe Online Week.
I suppose the big thing is if you don't know what it is, don't click on it to find out in a way.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the message. If you get an email from your bank, for example, and it says click on this link to access your account or anything like that, I personally think common sense says don't do it, because a bank will never send an email with a link on it. If you're on online banking, they'll always ask you to log on to your online account to get any correspondence.
And some of these messages are really clever. They look like they're from your bank. They've got the same logo, the same background and all that sort of stuff. I suppose one way is to look at the email address it's been sent from. Does that look like your bank's web page? And
an address at the top of your browser as well. A lot of the time, if they haven't got the little padlock security, would indicate possibly that it's not genuine. going.
And you mentioned phone as well. I mean, people do occasionally phone up and ask you to go onto your computer, and they can actually access your computer if you give them that information. That's frightening, isn't it?
It is frightening. It's very worrying as well. Yeah, part of it's called phishing. They're trying to get you to take the bait to access online, so then they can take control of your computers. And that could mean getting control of all your personal details, your bank accounts, but also it could involve putting viruses into your computer. So you've got to be really wary of these sort of things, you know. So all I would advise is don't take the bait. Take the details of the person that's phoning you, ask what organisation they're from, put the phone down, go online, find out about that organisation, because a lot of people will post if they are dummy and they're not real, so you can find out, you know. And if they are a genuine one, just phone them back. I mean, organisations have no issue with you phoning them back if they're genuine, and actually it's a good way of making sure the person you're speaking to is safe, you know, is the right person.
Rutland Radio.
Okay, so it's Friday challenge time. We're here at Tesco, South Street in Oakham. The challenge was this, Lydia.
We've got to do an entertaining announcement over the tannoy, and we decided to come to Tesco's in Oakham, and the lovely Karen here is going to judge it for us. I'm actually really nervous for this.
Yeah,
one.
me too. We talk to thousands of people on our shows. There's hundreds in here today. But yeah, it is nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Because everyone can see you do it. Now, Karen, you are the star performer here at Tesco, actually, when it comes to this little microphone here. What do you put your success down to? How do you make a good announcement?
Being clear and precise and slow at speaking into it.
So you're going to be judging this along with your colleagues. What are their names?
Wendy Totaro and Rachel Appleby. So
And what's your surname, so you're famous on the radio?
Karen Maguire.
We need to choose who's going first. Now, shall we do that by the toss of a coin? Ladies first, okay.
This is a Rutland radio announcement from Lydia Meredith. The sun is shining, hip hip hooray. Quite surprising for October, I must say. But we can keep the happiness up by thinking of the half-full cup. The next stranger you see with their basket and trolley, look up and smile, keep Oakham jolly.
This is a Rutland radio announcement here at Tesco today. When you're shopping, remember these. Our staff in blue and red are here to please. As you walk round the aisle, wear a smile of happiness. When you get to the checkout, have your loyalty card pressed. Thanks for listening to this song. I've made sure it's not very long. Is it good enough to win, or will Lydia's impress? You decide. Is it Rob or is it Lydia? I'm shaking. It's really nerve-wracking. That's like being on stage for us. Karen Maguire, do you have the result?
Yes, we do. So just because you added a little dance with yours.
Did I? I didn't realise I was dancing as well.
It was wiggling. You are the winner. Yes.
Oh,
well
thank
done,
you.
Rob.
Thank you very much.
Rob, you got all of the shoppers looking and smiling and dancing. All the staff were boogieing. So yeah.
I feel all red. I really do. Now we've got an envelope. If Karen can open this and tell us what we're doing next, because we've no idea.
So you have the weekend to carve a pumpkin and display it at our pop-up radio show in Stamford on Tuesday afternoon, where the listeners will judge which one is the winner.
That's very timely, isn't it?
I quite like carving pumpkins, so bring it on.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Mentioned earlier, a big day for celebration today as a farmer from Rutland won the stand-up challenge as part of the Leicester Comedy Festival. The Big Difference company put on this stand-up challenge, and it's very much focused on those in business to stand up and tell a joke or two. And representing Rutland and bringing the trophy back to the county, congratulations to Andrew Brand from Caldecott. Morning. Did you expect to actually come away with that trophy?
No, not at all, Rob. It was a big surprise, and I was astounded. But it went better than I expected. I mean, I was terrified, of course, to start with, and standing in front of 300 people trying to make them laugh is quite a big ask, and probably one of the most scary things I've ever done.
Now, I always find interviewing comedians is such a tough thing to do because, you say to a comedian, tell me something funny. If I said that to you, that is really hard, isn't it, to work up to that?
It is to do it off the cuff like that. I mean, I practiced and practiced and practiced for weeks beforehand, and I was going through my routine probably 2 or 3 times a day for at least the last 3 weeks to try and get it right. So it is going to be put on. I think it's going to be on YouTube when they get it uploaded, so people will be able to look at it and judge for themselves.
And I suppose comedy these days is very much observational, talking about life. I know you spoke about your days from being High Sheriff to farming to topical things last night.
That's right. Well, I didn't really mention being High Sheriff, but I did mention farming and the fact that I'm a student at De Montfort University, and I did make a little bit up about working for an undertaker as well. So it wasn't all true, but
right.
I mean, it didn't have to be true. So that was just a bit of fun I had.
Now, this was all to raise money for something called the Big Difference Company there, the charity that put on the Leicester Comedy Festival. People can still support you, can't they, in that way?
That's right. If they want to go onto the Stand Up Challenge website or the Big Difference Company website when the video is uploaded, and then have a look. And if they think if it's funny, maybe they'd like to donate a small amount. I mean, they do a lot of good work working with disadvantaged people, children, people with cancer across Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland. So it really is a charity that people could perhaps get behind. And it tries to help people through comedy, which is quite an unusual way of helping people.
Yeah, isn't it just? Do you get a trophy then? Was there something presented to you last night?
Yes, there was, yes. If you've been following me on Twitter, Rob, you've probably seen me getting presented with the trophy. I can take a picture and tweet it if you like, or send it to you, and you can put it on the Rutland Radio website.
Yes, absolutely. Well, congratulations. How long did it take you to get used to the fact that you are the funniest man in Leicester last night? That's basically it, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I'm still not sure it's sunk in yet, to be honest. But it's quite remarkable, and it was a great honour and a bit of a shock actually when they gave me the award.
So you got dressed up for the occasion. I've just found that picture, which I will pass on, actually. There you are, in your dungarees with your flat cap on, your red nose, and you got presented with, looks like a golden microphone. That would be an award I'd love to win.
That's right. Well, it's a microphone and a hand holding a microphone. Obviously, when you're doing a stand-up on stage, you have to hold a microphone, so I think that's the thinking behind that. But it's now sitting very proudly on our dresser in our kitchen.
Wonderful. What a great place for it. And Andrew Brown, well done for being the stand-up challenge champion last night over in Leicester and bringing that trophy back to Rutland.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.